Manifesto is the first document of human history that was applicable to all human beings across all nations when it was written. Such an important document, Communist Manifesto. First document of the history which was applicable to all nations, all ethnic groups, all religious groups, all languages, anywhere the people were living. This was the first document applicable to all the people. Now, when you come to introduction, as I said, the first chapter here, don't read the preface, as I said, just come to the introduction. I'll just show you. Yes. This Manifesto to the Communist Party. The very first sentence, what does it say? A specter is haunting Europe, the specter of communism. The book starts with a jolt. It starts with a lightning thunder. A specter, ghost, is haunting Europe. Every political party, every religious group is disturbed, is jolted out of its slumber. Communism is coming. And what does it say? A holy alliance against communism is taking place. You know, when Capital was published by Marx after his death, there was a conspiracy of silence because people came to know about Communist Manifesto. So they understood these are the books that will disturb the established class. These are the books that will awaken the proletariat, the common man, the common woman, the working class. So everybody was knowing. So this book came as a specter of communism. And as soon as the idea of communism was given, in introduction, Marx and Engels write, a holy alliance against communism is established. By whom? Pope and Tsar. Pope signifies religious institutions. Tsar of Russia signifies the ruling class. So the ruling class and the religious institutions, they joined hands against communism. Then two facts emerge. In the very introduction, Marx and Engels write, two facts emerge. Number one, Europe, the entire Europe accepts that communism is a force now. This is the beauty of this book. This is the force of this book. That two facts emerge, that Europe accepts communism as a force. And the second fact, communists should speak about openly their intentions. Now it's time. The bourgeoisie has established itself as a power. The capitalists are exploiting the working class. So there is no reason why communists should hide their intentions. So the book says, the manifesto in introduction says that the time has come for the communists to speak openly. Here I would like to remind you, Golwalkar, the RSS think tank, has listed three big enemies. Now, enemy number one, Muslims. Enemy number two, Christians. And third, enemy number three in India of the RSS, communists. So friends, if anytime any news anchor, any TV channel is targeting communists, don't feel offended. It is their design to attack communists, because they understand that it is only the communists who understand, who can analyze the fascists, nobody else. So they will attack communists. So this is the introduction of this manifesto. There are 4 chapters. First chapter is called as Bourgeoisie and the Proletariat. bourgeoisie and the proletariat. Who are the bourgeoisie? The owners of means of production. Tata, Ambani, Adani, these are the bourgeoisie class. Remember, this book was written in 1848. Industrialization had begun, but the scientific and technological revolution had not yet started. It had just begun. And then Marx understood the two classes that are going to take place, the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. And what is the opening sentence of this chapter? The history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggle. It is the communists, it was the Marx, it was Karl Marx, it was Comrade Engels who explained this very important, historically important social phenomena. What is that? All the history of the recorded history, all the recorded history is the history of class struggle. That means there are two sides always in history, the owners and the not owners, the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, the king and the subjects, the capitalists and the working class, two classes only. What the RSS tells Hindus, Christians, Muslims, no, my dear. Marx says no Hindus, no Christians, no Muslims. There are two classes, the owner class and the working class. Not today. From the Roman Empire, even before Roman Empire, Egyptian Empire, Indus Valley Civilization, Chinese Empire, every time there were two classes and there was a class struggle. There was a struggle between two classes. Now here, Marx says the bourgeoisie, when they came, they simplified class antagonism. There was class antagonism during feudalism between the kings and the subjects. There was class antagonism between that, the serfs and the serfdom, the slaves and the slave owners. But Marx says in Manifesto, the bourgeoisie, the capitalists, after the Industrial Revolution came, industrialization happened, they simplified class antagonism. So in this chapter, Marx has very clearly explained how the two classes were formed. Owners of the factory, the workers in the factory. Owners were the bourgeoisie, the workers are the proletariat. Then this chapter, Marx and Engels has explained how a world market is created. Remember, before industrialization, there is no world market. There are limited markets. But the moment industrialization happened, English people came to India, French went to Africa, and so many colonies started getting into shape. So the world was developed as a market. At the same time, in this chapter, Marx and Engels pay rich tributes to the bourgeoisie class. What did they say? The revolutionary part played by the bourgeoisie. The bourgeoisies, the capitalists, what they did do? They freed, they liberated the landless peasantry from the clutches of the feudal lords. Don't think about any other place but India. In India, the zamindars, the feudal lords, they controlled every aspect of life in the Indian villages. All the land belonged to the zamindars, and the landless peasants were surviving at the mercy of the zamindars. So the zamindars could do anything, anytime with the landless peasants. They were at the mercy of the zamindars. So what Marx says, as soon as the bourgeoisie came into the scene, as soon as industrialization took place, the bourgeois class, the capitalist class, liberated the landless peasants. How? They've created alternative scope of employment. First time in the history, the landless laborer The laborer could go to any industry of his choice and sell his labor. He was free to sell his labor. It's a different thing that the bourgeois class exploited the workers to the hilt, but the worker was also free to sell his labor. On page 44, the manifesto, it is mentioned, the bourgeoisie, wherever it has gone, the upper hand has put an end to all feudal, patriarchal, idyllic relationship. They ended the feudalism. They ended patriarchy and created new forms of exploitation. And what the bourgeoisie started, they gave value to everything. Now everything is sellable. Labor is sellable. Cities are sellable. Land is sellable. Everything has now become sellable, has a value to it. Page number 45. New tools of production and changing relations in society. The bourgeoisie, the capitalists brought new tools of production. Old tools of production, new tools of production. Remember, Manifesto has told us that when the tools of production change, the social relationships also change. When you are tilling the land with old tools of agriculture, the relations are old. But the moment you bring tractor to a village, the village structure also changes. When a tractor comes, the village modernizes itself. But when the old tools are used, the village remains old. This is what Marx and Engels have taught us. What RSS says, no, the society is independent of all this. It is Satyuga and Kali Yuga and all that. Marx and Engels says, no. As the tools of production changes, the social relationship changes. On page number 47, they say that because bourgeoisie want to exploit human labor, they reach the poorest of the poor nations. They exploit, but they reach every nook and corner of the society. That's why the English, the French, the Spanish, the Portuguese, they reached different countries of Africa. They took their technology, they exploited the Africans and took the minerals of Africa to their industries for production. So in a way, the bourgeoisie integrated the world. So, page 51, they say that the new weapons, page 50, sorry, the new weapons that were used against the feudalism, but the same weapons were now being used against the proletariat. Russian Revolution, remember, the feudal lords brought industry to Russia. Industry created a new class of workers. They created Communist Party and threw off the feudalism. Page number 51, the dialectical relationship between bourgeoisie and the proletariat. This we must understand, friends. The Maoists, the Naxalites, they never understand this relationship between bourgeoisie and the proletariat. Remember, the bourgeoisie employs the proletariat in their industry. In turn, what happens? The proletariats, the workers are assembled. They get a class identity. And when they get a class identity, they get a power to fight back against the bourgeoisie. There is a dialectical relationship between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. Page number 53. The manifesto talks about lower middle class. Now I'll read that. Page number 53. Yes. What does it say? The lower strata of the middle class, the small tradespeople, shopkeepers, and retired tradesmen generally, the handicraftsmen and peasants, all this sink gradually into proletariat, whom we call as middle class. The smaller tradesmen, the craftsmen, unitary businessman, the shopkeeper, they all are, they call them middle class. But with the impact of the bourgeois class, with the impact of the capitalist class, they are endangered. And that's why we communists say that we have to support them. Try to understand, they are not our class enemies. They are in the middle class and they want to become capitalists. That's why that is called as middle class. If they're empowered, they get money, they convert themselves into capitalists. Only 1 or 2% of these small shopkeepers become capitalists. 99% in course of time become proletariat. So the communist, we the communist must stand with them. I'll give a practical example to understand how Manifesto written in 1848 wrote about the future. In India, after Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister in 2015 somewhere, 17, sorry, he brought demonetization. And what happened with demonetization? 250,000 tradesmen, shopkeepers, small business people, small producers, they lost their business. 250,000 artisans were rendered jobless. They did not become capitalists. They became proletarians. They need the support of the Communist Party. This is what Communist Manifesto has written about them in 1848. Then page 55, Manifesto writes that as bourgeoisie brings people from different places in their factory, remember, in the villages, there is no scope for these people to unite because Zamindar is there, feudal lord is there. But the moment they come to city, there is nothing that can stop them from formation of their unions. That will add to their strength. So in page 55, Manifesto says that trade union formation takes place at the place of bourgeoisie. Again, I'll say the Naxalites, the Maoists have never understood this relationship, that when the factories are there, when the places of production are there, that is the place where the proletarians get an identity of working class. Without factories, without places of production, we, the workers, do not get an identity of working class. And that is the place where we form our unions. That this is what in page number 56, again, Manifesto says what the bourgeoisie give to the proletariat. Page number 56, bottom. These also supply the proletariat with fresh elements of enlightenment and progress. When a village person, a landless laborer comes to the city, comes to the factory to work, he's not literate, he may not be educated. After he comes, he is trained by the bourgeoisie. He is not training just to help him. He is training because he wants this man to work for him, produce for him. In the process, the proletarian is educated. The proletarian is skilled. The proletarian is enlightened. And the proletarian gets an identity of working class. This is what the bourgeoisie gives. At the end of the chapter, page number 60, I was telling Comrade Harish Bala that it will be injustice to Manifesto to discuss it in 1 hour. Then Comrade Harish Bala told me, we are not discussing the contents of the book, but we are introducing the book to the cadre. So this is what I'm trying to do. At the end of the chapter, what the Manifesto is reading, what the bourgeoisie therefore produces above all. This is what I'm reading from the Manifesto. What the bourgeoisie therefore produces above all, its own grave diggers. My Maoist friends, my Naxalite friends will not agree with me, or they don't even agree with the manifesto. What the manifesto is doing, the factories, the places of production owned by the bourgeoisie, what are they producing? Therefore, produce above all its own grave diggers. Its fall means the bourgeoisie's fall and the victory of the proletariat are equally inevitable. The collapse of the capitalism, the collapse of the capitalists is inevitable, produced by their own exploited class, that is the proletariat class, that is the working class. Then we come to, comrades, chapter 2. What is the name of the chapter 2? Proletarians and communists. Now, chapter 1 was the bourgeoisie and the proletarians. What is the relationship between the bourgeoisie and the proletarians? Chapter 2 is proletarians and the communists. At the opening remark, at the very top, it is written here, and I'm reading that. This is for my CPM friends. This is for my Maoist friends. This is for my Naxalite friends. What they write? The communists do not form a separate party opposed to other working class parties. Manifesto says if there is already a working class party in any country, the real communists should join that party. The real communists should join hands with that working class party. They should not form a separate new communist party, new working class party, because this will divide the strength of the working class. What did CPM do? In 1964, they formed their own new party, called it CPM. Subsequently, in 1967, 68, 69, what did Naxalites do? They formed CPI-ML. Then so and so new parties they formed. And what happened? Because they're forming the party, the right-wing politicians got strength. Today they are in power because of what these people did. They divided the party. So Communist Manifesto speaks very clearly. The communists do not form new parties. They help with the existing party. Let them understand. Page 63. It's very clear, comrades. This sorry. Right. So this is very clear. Page 63. Why no private property? Manifesto says, when we come to power, when the communists come to power, they will abolish private property. Private property means the private means of production. And the Communist Manifesto says, because 90% of the society, even today in India, you see, 90% of the society, the proletariat, do not have any private property. So how does it matter? When 90% of the society, it does not apply to your houses, your scooters, or your personal belongings. No, Manifesto does not talk about that. Manifesto is talking about land, because land is an important tool of production, agriculture. They are talking of factories. They are talking of transport. They are talking of electricity. They are talking of coal. They are all natural resources owned by the society. But in India, 5% of the people, 5% of the capitalists own 50% of the property in India today. 50% of the wealth is owned by only 5%. Mostly it is owned by 200 families. 130 crore population, and only 200 families control 50% of all wealth of India. What is wrong in Manifesto then? Then when we come to power, we will abolish all these private properties. Comrade, I will read some of the portions that is written on page number 75. This you should read very meticulously. Yes, one by one, they are writing page number 75. Abolition of property in land and application of all rents of land to public purposes. A heavy progressive or graduated income tax. Abolition of all rights of inheritance. Now, Reliance is there, industry is there, 60,000 crores. His son will inherit. What will the son of a rickshaw puller inherit? What will the daughter of a maid servant inherit? Why should this? The law of inheritance. The country belongs to all. Centralization of credit in the hands of state by means of national bank with state capital and exclusive monopoly. Moneylenders today, they exploit the villagers. Manifesto says centralization of credit by nationalized banks. And our my dear friend Nirmala Sitharaman wants to abolish all public sector banks because this government belongs to Adani and Ambani, not to the proletariat of the country. Extension of factories and instruments of production owned by the state, the bringing into cultivation of wastelands and improvement of soil generally in accordance with common plan. Extension of factories. We have Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited, 5 or 6 places. When communists come to power, there will be 60, 70, 100 Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited. There will be 100 Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Will increase factories to every town so that employment is increased. Equal liability of all to labor, establishment of industrial armies, especially for agriculture. Industrial army. Army for production, for agriculture. This again will eliminate unemployment. Combination of agriculture with manufacturing industries. What a wonderful idea. 1848, combination of industrial production centers with agriculture. What agriculture produces will be linked with the industry. So agriculture and industry together working for the benefit of the society. Now, listen carefully. Free education for all children in public schools. Abolition of children's factory labor in present form. Combination of education with industrial production. Free education to all the children. This is written in Communist Manifesto. Children are the future of the society. They are the future of the country. So why private education? Why cost of education? Manifesto, now 1848, it said free education to all. Then when in the course of development, class distinctions have disappeared and all production has been concentrated in the hands of a vast association of whole nation, the public power will lose its political character. Political power, properly so-called, is merely the organized power of one class for oppressing another. Why do we require political power? All power to the people. Lenin, after the Great October Revolution, had said all power to the Soviets. So we also will go all power to the panchayats, to the villages, to the people. So comrades, this is chapter number 2. Then we come to chapter number 3. Again, very important chapter, socialist and communist literature. I was jokingly talking to Comrade Harish Bala. Without knowledge, without scientific understanding, there can be no communist party. Without knowledge, without science, BJP can survive. They need cow dung and cow urine. But Communist Party requires knowledge. Communist Party requires literature. Communist Party requires educated cadre. And this has been written in Communist Manifesto. In the chapter Socialist and Communist Literature, the manifesto talks of 3 types of socialism. Reactionary socialism, page 77. Conservative socialism. Critical utopian socialism. And of course, we know that scientific socialism. Scientific socialism is what Marx and Engels have written and Lenin has developed. So they talk of different literature which the manifesto is talking about. That you'll find in chapter number 3. And you will understand why the socialists are so opportunists. Why the socialism talked by Mulayam Singh Yadav is not applicable. Why socialism talked by George Fernandez was an eyewash? Because they are utopian socialism, opportunist socialism, reactionary socialism. And there is one more thing, conservative socialism. What is conservative socialism? That is a socialism propagated by Maoists. What do they say? No to industries, no to development. Let the communists come to power and then the development start. Manifesto rejects this idea. This is what happened. This is what happened in Cambodia when Pol Pot came to power. They removed all intellectuals from their posts and sent them to villages. The development stopped. Sorry, Communist Manifesto doesn't support this. Communist Manifesto talks of scientific socialism, chapter number 3. Then chapter number 4. This will be the last chapter. Sorry, just give me 2 minutes. Chapter number 4 is ending, and I'll read the last. The position of the communists in relation to the various existing opposition parties. How the communists should relate themselves to the existing political parties. So he says that they fight with the bourgeoisie whenever it acts in revolutionary way against the absolute monarchy, the feudal squararchy, and the petty bourgeoisie. Manifesto says the Communist Party fights for the attainment of liberation. Remember, the Communist Party of India was formed in 1925. From the very inception, Communist Party took part in the freedom struggle of India. Nobody can deny that. RSS did not participate in the freedom struggle. Communist Party participated in the freedom struggle. In fact, the first resolution for full independence was given by a communist in the Congress Working Committee meeting. Hasrat Mohani and Swami Swarupanand, both of them presented a resolution for total independence, first time, 1927. Congress Party adopted this resolution in 1937. So communists were in the forefront of freedom struggle. So communists have to be in the forefront of liberation movements wherever they are, in whatever shape. The communists should support all those who are fighting against feudalism. The communists should fight against the international capitalism. The communists should fight against imperialism. That's why CPI supported Vietnam. That is why CPI has supported all the freedom struggles, including Bangladesh freedom struggles. So, in short, the last page and the last but one para, I will read it. In short, the communists everywhere support every revolutionary movement against the existing social and political order of things. Communists do not live in isolation. Communists go with the revolutionary movements. Then second, finally, the labor everywhere for the union and agreement of democratic parties of all countries. The labor go with the fighting spirit of everyone. Then last, comrades, the last chapter of the last para of the last chapter. This is wonderful. I will read it, try to understand. The communists disdain to conceal their views and aims. We are not afraid. We walk onto the street. We walk in May Day. We display that we are communists. Communists do not conceal their intentions. They openly declare that Their ends can be attained only by the forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions. Let the ruling classes tremble at a communistic revolution. Now you understand why RSS is afraid of communists, why RSS called communists their enemy number one, why all the political parties are afraid of communists. Now, comrade, the last and the historical declaration of the manifesto. The proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. We say that the working classes, the workers of the world unite, they have nothing to worry. So the proletarians have nothing to lose but their chains. They have a world to win. The workers of the world have nothing to lose but the chains of hunger and poverty, and they have a world to win. This is how the Communist Manifesto ends. Remember, what was the first statement? The hitherto history of all humanity is the history of class struggle. It begins from there, and where it ends, workers of the world unite. You have nothing to lose but the chains of poverty and hunger and the world to win. That is Communist Manifesto. Inqilab Jindabad. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Yugal Rayalu. It was a wonderful lecture on this Communist Manifesto, and I do believe this would have created an interest among the people who are watching this video. And this Machiavelli, who wrote this Prince, he says ends justify the means. But parallelly, we have this Communist Manifesto, which says workers of the world unite. We have the world to win. We don't have anything to lose. So thanks a lot, Dr. Yugal Rayalu. And I would like to thank Comrade Dinesh Raghunathan, who helped us in telecasting this online. And one more announcement, comrades. Our Youth Life YouTube channel has been opened, and all the series of these lectures will be recorded and it will be edited properly, and it will be published there so that it remains as a digital document or digital library throughout. I would also like to thank Comrade Thirumalai Raman, who has joined with us here for conceiving this idea of conducting this series of lectures. Comrade Thirumalai, would you like to share a few words?
Nothing. Okay, thank you, Comrade Dr. Yugal Rayalu. And this is a good lecture and a good introductory note that will be helpful to our comrades to read this book and to go through this book. Thank you, comrades.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Comrade Dinesh? Thanks a lot. Inqilab Zindabad, AOF Zindabad.